heretical to believe, say, or teach that God needs us? Because I've seen classes online that say yes and no. Are both opinions valid, or is only one right?
This is the great controversy about Rabbi Manis Friedman, who is an extremely popular Chabad speaker. In fact, the advertisement goes, the most popular rabbi on the internet. I feel cheated, but okay. Don't worry, I'm not even near his numbers. Rabbi Friedman almost has a mantra, borrowing on the Eastern religion thing. You don't need God. God needs you. God needs you, and therefore, you got to do your job. So people like Rav Yosef Mizrahi, attack Rabbi. Half of Rabbi Mizrahi's shir is devoted to attacking Manis Friedman. Sometimes it's an amazing thing. Again, this is all public, so I don't think there's lashon hara involved. And Rav Mizrahi's argument is that God is perfect, right? It's really a standard argument. God is perfect. God is whole. God has no needs. This is psukim in the Torah and psukim in the prophets that say you can't give anything to God. And if you can't give anything to God, all the mitzvahs are just for us. So how could somebody say that God is needy? That's a contradiction to God's omnipotence. So he takes the position that Rabbi Friedman is a heretic and not Bikoris and the like. Well, here is the thing. There may be an issue. I mean, again, I don't want to criticize anybody. I mean, there may be an issue in the way something is said, right? The way you say it, the provocative way you say it. But the truth is, there is truth in what Rabbi Friedman is saying.
So how do you feel? I know some people, when we've addressed this topic in the past, and even like if people see the course advertised as God needs you, like how do you feel like putting it out there like that when you know right off the bat or automatically people that don't take the course or not interested in taking the course, like it could do sometimes more damage than good because it's a little shocking for people and you're not really taking people's considerations into concern of saying such a in-your-face, shocking title, and it begs for explanation. Has it been a struggle, like I know in sort of planning this course, using a title like this and not necessarily having the time or ability to explain it to everybody who sees the advertisement even? Like, what's the justification for that? I know I've argued with people about that. And they'll say, oh, it's a gimmick. It's a shocking thing, but it could be doing damage or sometimes even more damage than good.
Very, very rarely. Saying that God really needs your mitzvah, how can that be damaging? Maybe a little confusing, maybe a little disturbing. Damaging? What, somebody is going to stop doing a mitzvah because God really needs it? I mean, come on. Where's the sense in that? But it is true that saying God needs is provocative. The whole point is that if you come to people and say, you really should learn more about God to get to know him, it's like, okay, maybe. But when you say God really needs something, then the thought that I'm not doing for God what he needs becomes a serious motivating force. Now, for most people, for the vast majority of Jews in the world, God needs your mitzvah makes a lot of sense. And it's like, if you've seen the reaction from people, why didn't I think of that? Well, of course. He created the world. He gave the Torah. It's just that people who have been educated differently and, they were raised with the emphasis on other aspects of Torah. For them, it's an adjustment. That's true. That's true. But I think the default position for an unbiased person is, well, of course, God. God is the creator. God is the motivator. God is the initiator. So of course it's his need. If you're a little more sophisticated and you've gone through a little bit of information, because if you really study the subject, there is no problem. But if you have just a little bit of knowledge, it clashes with the idea that God is perfect and therefore doesn't need anything. And that's legitimate. Yeah, so let's raise the question and let's deal with it.
Right, because this one noted rabbi, said, I just wish he wouldn't use that word. It opens up a can of worms, and not everybody has the time or ability to unpack it. And that's why we're offering this course, because to me, at least through my experience throughout the last decade, is the only way to convey the idea is by using that word. And when people do get upset, it's not like a bait and switch and like, oh yeah, we didn't really mean to upset you and we're just redefining it, like bait and switch. If you're getting upset and you're getting moved by it, we're trying to move you even more, because if you understand the emphasis and the impact of what this statement is trying to say, it's really gonna take you to places, or down the rabbit hole, as they say, to understanding God in just in a way that perhaps has never been presented to you. And for me, when I first heard it, for better or for worse, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. I never thought about it, because I went to yeshiva, and for 3 years I was constantly taught Chassidus, and it was all about me trying to become the most holy, the most refined, the most nullified was a common word. Like, you only put yourself aside, but there wasn't so much emphasis on God's end of it, because God's unknowable. And on the contrary, the deeper you go, or the higher you go, however you want to say it, when you start taking that 3D sort of look at God, it's unknowable. So the emphasis becomes totally on you, which is the opposite of the message I think that they were trying to convey.